phone case is really sturdy. Okay. A couple of things. Okay. See, as the days get shorter, the light in my office is better. All right, so there's a couple of things I want to talk about today. First of all, I have to start with a shout out to my very dear friend, Jody Benson. Hi, accomplisher, achiever. I saw your Facebook post. So a couple of things. Hello, happy Monday. Hello, everyone's coming in. So I have to start with just a big congratulations because I know she peeks every once in a while to see what I'm talking about. So I've got to start with a big congratulations to my very dear friend Jody Benson. We've been friends for, almost 30 years. And she is the voice of The Little Mermaid, and The Little Mermaid is celebrating their 35th anniversary of the movie. And I just could not be more thrilled for my friend and everyone who worked on the movie. And what an unbelievable legacy and an accomplishment. And, when Jody and I first met, she was, there was no such thing as Princess brand, and all the stuff that she does now is really amazing. And so I just wanted to do a little shout out to my friend and to say congratulations. So lots of love going out to the whole Little Mermaid family. Okay, hello. All right, so I want to talk today about spiritual bypassing and the current state of the world. The dogs are very excited about this, and I will say there's a delivery that's coming that I have no control over, and they're of course going to come while we're together, so there will be some barking. So last week I sent out my newsletter for November, and I am a big believer, and this is just me, but I am a big believer in the universe has a plan. We may not like the plan, but the universe has a plan, and all the things in some way are working to help move us collectively and individually, move us forward. Now, we may not like our position in that place, but we have a choice in this day and age, and especially for those of us who are more empathic, we have a choice, a very important choice in any day and age, but especially right now, that we can consume news and digest the news of the world and go down the rabbit holes that leave us, laying on the floor in, depression and hopelessness. And last week we talked a lot about that desire to be hopeful and to struggle and fight for the hope of hope. And I still want to hold on to that. And someone had accused me of spiritual bypassing, and that's okay, because there are plenty of people who, everyone's got their views, and that's totally okay. For me, I really want to, and to be fair, I don't feel like the person was on with our time together last week to be able to hear what we were talking about. I will always choose to try and see the good in people, and to see the good or the possible or the potential in a situation. I do not always succeed. I am still trying to, and I beat myself up just like, other people do. I'm still trying to not let myself off the hook, but just try to remind myself. I had a little Karen moment last week, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't do that. We all need to learn and grow. And that's what these times are about. And, I'm even seeing that in some of, there was some, and I'm not trying to be political, but I saw on one of the morning shows, some friends were up in arms that one of the morning shows had decided they were going to have a sit-down interview with the president-elect. And people were like, why would you, he's so horrible, why would you do that? And their response was actually really intelligent. And their response was based in the hope of hopefulness. That this person is the president-elect of the United States. A majority of the people in this country voted for this person, and to completely pretend like he doesn't exist or that none of this is happening is not the way to move forward as a country, in any country. And that this was an opportunity for us to continue to try and find a common ground and to find a place of understanding. So thank you, Lynette. I feel like it's important because I know I'm not the only one who's going through these kind of things. And so this other person who had emailed me after my newsletter was very upset because they are in a marginalized position. And it's important that we understand, for those of us who are maybe not in marginalized positions, and as a Jewish woman, I certainly feel like there are moments, but certainly not as marginalized as many others. And so it's important to understand where we are, because if we are in a marginalized position, we want to make sure that we are having the resources and getting the support that we need, or we are at least tying into the people who have access to resources and can help us get the support we need. And if we are not a marginalized person or someone who is likely to be marginalized by the next administration, it's really important that we take the time to do what we can do to stand up for these people and to maybe donate, maybe volunteer time, something where we are trying to use our privilege for a better world. And and this is not a guilt trip on anybody, anything. And I don't believe personally, I don't believe in spiritual bypassing. And it's not that I don't believe it, like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I just think it's a way to guilt people into not, it's a way to make people feel negatively about themselves for not doing what you think they should do. And so I think this is something that's really important for us as we go forward, that we've got to stay in our lane, and we've got to continue struggling with purpose and struggling with resolve, so that we, you are welcome, my darling, so that we are continuing to do the best that we can do with the abilities and the resources that we have available to us at the time. That doesn't mean that some people are going to have it easier and some people are not. It's up to us to care for each other. And whatever is going on in a government of any nation, it is up to us to care for each other. Because when we do that, we raise the vibration. And you all have heard me talk about this forever, about how we cavitate off of each other and how we raise the vibration of each other, and that we lift each other up together. And that is how we change the world. And clearly the world was not ready to change right now. And there's still some things that we as humanity need to learn. Now, I stopped to think about what is going on in Afghanistan and the wars that we fought on that land to try and bring democracy to a place like Afghanistan, and the people who lost their lives there, both Americans and any other country that was involved, so many other countries, that were involved, so many losses of life. And then we think we're doing something good, and then we leave the country because we've been there for decades, and it's time for us to go, and immediately the Taliban takes over. And again, I'm not trying to be political, bear with me for a second. And immediately the Taliban takes over, and it's right back, they're right back to where they started. And we never should have been there in the first place. Oh, that's political, I don't mean to say that. Whatever. But the point is, the women there, this is where I'm trying to go, not with politics, this is where I'm trying to go. The women there are so marginalized now, and they were not marginalized before. The same in a country like Iran in the 70s was very much like America. Women were, running around in miniskirts and listening to rock music. But the women there are very marginalized. And what's so fascinating is the stories that are coming quietly and anonymously out from a place like Afghanistan of how the women are coming together to support each other. They are studying in secret, they are teaching each other in secret, they are lifting each other, and they are supporting each other, and they are finding a way to survive. And so wherever you are and whatever is going on with you, whether you're marginalized or not marginalized, we are coming now into a very challenging time in humanity. And we've talked about this. This is the time of the throat chakra. This is the time of people needing to use their voice. And I truly believe that there's not this thing as spiritual bypassing, and that we use this as a label to blame people who don't agree with us or are not looking at a perspective from the same viewpoint and having the same agreement or a view that we are having. And so I feel like it's really important that as we go forward, we can see from some of the policy decisions, some of the things we heard before the election, we can see some of the leaders in other countries, we can see that there's going to be things that are different, and we may or may not like them, but it is up to us to make a choice whether we are going to continue to hope for hope, and to hope that people will understand and come to see each other in a way where we are all humans here having a human experience, or we're going to stay in a place of anger and resentment and fear. And I feel like that this person that came, to talk to me, that's where they were coming from. And again, it's our choice. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because we all know it's not. And on any given day, you can find people who either like or don't like what's going on in any given country. The other thing I feel like is important to remember, and I admittedly struggle with this, I really do. I believe it to be true in my heart. That doesn't mean I like it, okay? I believe that we have chosen to come here and to incarnate at these particular times to the parents that we were born to, into the family lineage, and to have the experiences and the limits and the challenges and the blessings and all the things from A to Z that we are experiencing in this lifetime, that there is a piece of that we came here and incarnated in order to have these experiences. So if you are So if you are having an easy peasy lifetime and a mountaintop experience, fantastic. You set that up for yourself before your parents were even born. You got with your soul family and said, hey, I want to come down and have like a super cushy life this time. And your parents said, okay, great. Well, we're going to go down and we're going to be born to these people. And we're going to make sure that we get in and set it up so that when you're ready to be born, we're going to be like easy street and you're going to come in and just coast through. Okay. But next time, there's going to have to be a place where you are having a balance to that. I have always thought of the soul, because I really believe in reincarnation. Me personally, I think of the soul like a pizza, okay? And so we are the pizza, we are the soul, but each slice of the pizza is a lifetime. And so each time we come down to Earth, to incarnate and have an experience and have a life, we are here and we are a piece of the pizza. Okay. The next time we come will be a different piece of the pizza. However, in order for our soul to evolve and for us to become complete evolved people, evolved beings of souls, we have to have all the experiences. So no one who has had a really gifted, cushy life right now has had all of their lifetimes like that. And nobody who is digging ditches and slogging through mud and having a really difficult time this time has had only those experiences every single time. We all have all the experiences because this is the way we learn and evolve. And so right now, our humanity is having these different experiences. And so there's some part of our soul that chose, to be here in this timeline to say, my pizza pie, I want to experience these things this time for my soul's evolution. So that does not make it any easier when we see people suffering, whether it's through war or poverty or disease. It does not make it any easier knowing these things. But I try, for me personally, to come back to this place. I never ever want to say, well, they asked for it, they came in this lifetime and they decided they were going to have a shitty life. And so, can't do anything about it. No, there is a very famous saying in Jewish tradition in the Pirkei Avot, which is the wisdom teachings, that says, we are not obligated to complete a task, but nor are we free to ignore it. So in any lifetime, whether you're having the cushy mountaintop lifetime or you're having the really challenged lifetime, in any lifetime, our job for those who are around us, and to the best of our ability in any given space, is to do what we can to be the light, and to do what we can to be the helper. How Mr. Rogers would always say, look for the helpers, right? Sad to think that this generation is going to grow up not really knowing who Mr. Rogers was. We should make sure we tell people. Our job is to be a light. And so when this person, emailed me and said, you da 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 da, and it was long, and it was interesting because the end of the email said, and I never want another email from you again. And I said, yeah, I hear you. I totally get it. And actually the email conversation went on for quite a while. And I was very happy to hold the space for that person to share their frustration and their concerns and to learn about their perspective. But if somebody comes at you and says, oh, you're spiritual bypassing, which is a term that says you're not willing to feel into the ucky stuff, you only want everything to be sunshine and lollipops. But it also is a term that says you're not seeing things the way I see things, and that means you're wrong. And I don't buy that, okay? I think if we are trying to see things as only sunshine and lollipops, then we're naive, and that is a problem, and we do want to know a little bit about what's going on in the world around us. We don't want to live in a bubble. At the same time, we also want to make sure that we are not allowing others to judge us. Well, we can't stop people from judging us, but we don't have to receive that, okay? So if other people want to judge us, that's on them, but we don't have to receive that when someone says, oh, you're not doing this the right way, which is really essentially saying you're not doing it the way I would do it. Okay, we don't have the right to tell other people how to think or how to feel. And so our job is to do the best that we can do to take care of our energy and to take care of our hearts and to take care of the people around us and take care of ourselves and to be a light as best as we are able to be. And if that does not line up with somebody else, whether you know them or you don't, that's not spiritual bypassing. That's you keeping your priorities first according to what is important for you as you go through this timeline. Okay. So I hope some of this makes sense. I feel like as we get closer to the inauguration in this country, I feel like people are going to start to get a little more tense, and we may see more judgment. And I feel like it's really important that we remember to try not to judge people, to try to help where we can, that it's important to put our oxygen mask on our own face first, and to help where you can. And if everyone is doing the littlest bit that they are able to do, or maybe more than the littlest bit, if everyone can do what they can do, then we make a difference. And this brings me back to, and I'll finish with this, the story of the starfish on the beach. And if you've been hanging out with me for a while, you've probably heard me tell the story of the child walking along the beach where a whole bunch of starfish had washed up, and I mean like hundreds, and the child grabs the starfish and starts chucking them back in the water. And of course an adult comes along and says, what are you doing? And the kid says, I'm throwing starfish back in the water. And the adult looks around, because we're based in reality and, tend to not always see the positive, and says, well, you can't possibly make a difference. And the kid looks at the starfish in the hand and says, well, I can make a difference to this one, and throws it back. Okay? So why not me? Why not you? Why not us? And I was listening to, so many thoughts coming in my head right now. I was listening to a podcast talking about what's next. It was a book that's coming out about the West Wing television show. But so I want to talk about what's next, but I also want to talk about why not us. Okay, so if you're in a room, if you've gone to an event and you, they're doing raffle things and the raffle prices, if you did not buy a raffle ticket, then you're not going to win. But if you did buy a raffle ticket, why not you, right? Somebody is going to win. It might as well be you. And if we have the opportunity to think of it that way, like I have as much chance as anybody else to win, unless you're in a room with my mother and raffle tickets, she buys them all. So just fair warning. My sister had an event supporting her news organization this past weekend, and my mother bought all the raffle tickets. She won like 4 things. The saying, Kimmy, is we are not obligated to complete the task, but nor are we permitted to ignore it. That means it's up to us to roll up our sleeves as best as we can and get in the game and do something to make our world better in our corner of it. Because if you've ever done a really big, I mean big, jigsaw puzzle, you know, you create the border, right? You find all the borders, and then you start looking at the pieces, and then you might start working on a little section. And you get a little section, and you work on the section, and then the section gets a little bigger, and then the section gets a little bigger. And all of us, we are all working on our little section until we have completed the puzzle. So little bit by little bit, we add little pieces. Actually, I was flipping channels the other day, and I had 20 minutes to just do nothing and watch something, and I tuned into this game show called The Floor with Rob Lowe. And it's fascinating, it's a game show, and it was cute. But what's interesting is that you have your little square on the floor, and then you challenge this person, and then if you win, you take over their space. If you lose, they take over your space. And so the idea is eventually they're going to get down to 2 people that have all the spaces. But it's interesting because the spaces are all connected. You can only take over somebody who's adjacent to you. And you can't challenge the guy across the road. You can only challenge the people who are, adjacent to you. And I think if we change the word from challenge to lift and help and connect, that's really what we want to be doing. And so again, it's not a spiritual bypass, it's a spiritual connection. What can we do? So routinely, when there's a hurricane or a big storm or whatever, and we're cleaning up storm debris, I go over a little bit farther this way, a little bit farther this way, and I sweep from my neighbors. And this afternoon, finally, all the county came through and picked up all the storm debris from Hurricane Milton. I mean, it's taken this long. And they picked up all the tree debris in the chunks, but the roadway was a total mess. And so here comes my neighbor with his leaf blower, and he's blowing off my part of my road, which I thought was so wonderful. But that's what happens when we are generous with ourselves, with our heart, with our energy, with our compassion. It doesn't have to be with time or money. If you have it, great, but it's being generous with your heart and connecting with people and talking with them and just letting them know that they're important. What a difference that could make just in itself. So these are things that was really on my heart and on my really just coming in throbbing in my head, we need to talk about this today. So regardless of what's going on, and if you are a marginalized person, there hopefully will be resources. There are resources now, and it's important to take advantage of what you can to get systems in place. And for we who are less marginalized, I feel like probably we're all marginalized in some way, it's important for us to be conscious that there are going to be people who are going to have it easier. There's going to be people who have it harder in any given day, in any given country, in any given government situation. And for those of us who can do something, let's do something. We're not obligated to complete the work, but nor are we free to ignore it. So whatever piece that you can do to help your neighbor, to, bring dinner to a friend, to just listen. So for this person that emailed me, really what they needed was to be heard. So it's easy for us to be like, oh yeah, and we get defensive. It's important for us because you chose to be here, which means what we're doing here in our community of light is somehow important to you. We choose to be light. We choose, not spiritual bypassing, but we choose to be hopeful for hope and to continue to struggle for hope and to be hopefully struggling. I don't mean hopefully hopefully you're struggling, but we're struggling in a hopeful way for a better world, okay? So these are things to keep in mind as we go forward. I'm sure that some of this stuff will come up again as we go forward. Now, we are in the waning of the moon. We have passed the full moon. Oh gosh, I never turned off my tracker for my run this morning, so I've been running for 6 hours. Okay. All right, that's not true. All right, so we are in the waning of the full moon, and this next moon, this next new moon that is coming, I believe is the Aquarius moon. And so there's a lot of people who are talking about how, again, we're going to be coming into that age of Aquarius and that it's going to be important. So we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But also I wanted to talk about crumbs, it just went right out of my head. The moon, Pluto. Thank you. Pluto. So there's a lot. So Pluto is changing signs in this next moon cycle as well. Pluto is going to be changing signs. And Pluto, we know, has such a big orbit that the last time Pluto was anywhere near this part of the solar system, none of us were born. It was like 240 years that Pluto takes to go around the orbit. And so Pluto's moving through and is spending several months in each sign. So Pluto is on the move, so that's going to be important to keep an eye on, because Pluto also brings a lot of energy, because he's maybe small but very mighty, because he's coming from the outer spaces, the outer part of the solar system, so he's got a lot of energy that he's bringing with him. Okay, the other thing is we are right now in the pre-window for Mercury retrograde, which would of course explain why I had spent 2 hours today fighting with my printer to get a new software installed and what have you. So we are in the start of Mercury retrograde. So it is coming. This is going to be a Mercury retrograde for most of December. It's going to start officially on the 26th of November, which is Tuesday, which means, of course, that we want to be extra prepared for Thanksgiving, which means we want to have some extra compassion. We want to have some extra time buffered in, whatever. We'll talk about that kind of stuff on Monday, because we're going to be in Mercury retrograde for Thanksgiving. So it's important that we are planning ahead, right? And we know that, okay, when things are going wonkadoodles right now, that we are already in the early parts of the Mercury retrograde. Okay, so I think that is all of the housekeeping things. So things are being weird. That's probably why. All right, so the good news is there's not an eclipse going on right now, so that's good news. All right, so we're going to grab one of our animal spirit cards. We're going to start from there. Oh, I do also want to say, and I think I meant to put it in the comments, and I forgot. Okay, so this is... Nope. Nothing there. So if you are somebody who works in a light worker of some kind, if you are no, don't panic over Mercury retrograde. I see Tracy's just put in these terrible emojis. Emojis, not terrible, but just emojis. So look, the thing with Mercury retrograde, and I say this all the time, because there's two ways to approach anything, which is really in alignment with everything we've been talking about today. There's two ways to approach everything, and one is like, this is going to be horrible, and we're all going to die. Or like, well, I'm going to learn something. This is here to show me something. This is here to teach me something. I wonder what it is. Okay, Mercury retrograde is not designed to torture us. Mercury retrograde is here to help us understand ourselves better. Mercury retrograde, go back, right, retreat, to be able to go back and do things again. Mercury retrograde gives us the opportunity to fix things, to get a do-over. So like I'm fully expecting that, like the truck that I had a little Karen moment with is probably going to show up again during Mercury retrograde, and hopefully I'm going to be able to say, yo, my bad. Okay, so retrograde gives us the opportunity to fix things. Okay, yes, it screws with the electronics, but if you know it going in, then you can say, hey, I know this is retrograde, and I'm not going to freak out and be all mad, and I'm just going to like take a minute. We can have traffic issues, we can have crazy drivers, we can have, all kinds of weird things can happen in retrograde, and that is okay. Because if we know it's coming and we can be prepared for it and we can give ourselves a little extra time as we're going places and we can stay in the positive, then we have an easier path through Mercury retrograde. Okay, it is, remember, the energy we put out is the energy we give back. So if you're putting out that like, retrograde, that's the energy you're putting out there, and the universe is like, we're going to mess with you. You got it. Okay, but if you're putting out there like, okay, I'm open, I know the universe is here to show me something, I know that retrograde is here to help me to grow and evolve, and retrograde is here to show me something, what is it that retrograde is here to show me? Then those lessons will show up if we are open to receive them. That does not mean it's necessarily going to be a cakewalk. Shit happens. Sometimes stuff just sucks, and it's important for us to just try to ride the wave. When you are at the beach, if you have, live anywhere near where you can go to the ocean, if you are standing in the sand, in the water, in the beach, and let's say you're up to your thighs in the water, If you plant your feet and a wave comes along and you stand and go, I'm not knocking over, this wave's not getting me, that wave is going to slam right into you, okay? And it's going to push you back and it's going to knock you over. However, let's say you're in the water even deeper and the wave is coming and you jump even like 2 inches. The wave is going to go underneath of you and you might get a little like this, but you're not going to get knocked over. And that's because the energy of the wave is at the bottom, not at the top. And if you jump even the littlest bit, the wave, the inertia of the wave will go underneath of you. Okay, so this is similar for us because when we look at Mercury retrograde, we're all like, ah! And I'm saying to you, keep your feet on the ground, but be flexible, keep your knees bent, be ready to jump, okay? So if something happens, we want to be flexible, we want to be pliable, we want to be able to move with the wave so that whatever it is going to be smaller rather than something that knocks us over, okay? This is how we get through a retrograde, okay? A retrograde happens 4 times a year, so it's like the season change. It's not something you're going to get away from or avoid or, you know, skip out on, or it's not something that you're going to just be like, oh, I'm just not paying attention. Okay, so if we stay open, then we're going to have an easier time. If we're going to, you know, lock ourselves off, then guess what? The universe is like coming for you. Okay? And it's so funny because I see this on this game show, The Floor. It like randomizes and it lights up the floor and it picks that guy, that person. And it's always like a person in the back corner or whatever that's like, I don't want to get picked, you know. And so if that's our energy, then the universe is going to pick us. But if we're like, okay, bring it on because I'm ready to grow and learn and evolve, because what happens is when we do, we get better, then we are setting ourselves up more for success, okay? And we're also setting ourselves up for an easier ride through the retrograde. All right. Let's pick some cards. All right, so we're going to start with, as I always love to start with, our Animal Spirits cards. Stephen Farmer's deck, our Animal Spirit cards, because I always like to know which animals are looking out for us. Okay. And then we'll jump into one of the other card decks. I haven't even decided which one yet. All right. So, Animal Spirit. This is the grouse. It says, express yourself through rhythm and movement by drumming and dancing. Okay, I love this. See the grouse. Okay, so express yourself. That's the first part. Okay, by rhythm and movement, drumming and dancing. When we drum and dance, we are moving. We are in the flow, right? This is literally what we just finished talking about with the wave. That we stay in the flow, right? We stay in the flexibility. We move with the groove of Mercury's retrograde. And we're going to continue to do this as we move into the 2025 year. We move with the groove, okay? So the grouse tells us it's important that we express ourselves and we say how we feel and what we think. What we have to say is important and has value. At the same time, we are not stomping our feet into the dirt, into the sand. We are not locking our feet into the sand. We are putting our feet and we are moving to the groove, okay? All right, so let's change over to, well, let's take a look at, I don't use these very much, but these are Yasmin Boland's Moonology cards. And I have to say I had attributed something to her on our page the other day, and she came and made a comment and said, no, I didn't write that. And I was still very delighted that she chose to come and, you know, chit chat with us for a minute. So so let's use her Moonology cards. Now these are pretty new, so they're a little harder to shuffle, but we'll use these for our reading today. And this will be exciting. As we're getting ready for the new moon, right? We know that the energy starts to come down from the full moon in the waning, and we're going to have, so we know we have retrograde starts right before Thanksgiving on that Tuesday, and we have the new moon is going to be right after Thanksgiving. So the new moon is going to be on December 1st. Okay, so there's going to be lots of things that are going on. All right, so we're going to do our collective reading. And so this is Moon Shining, and this says stay in integrity. And so this is really important because it reminds us, because always remember, when I pull the cards for our collective reading, in my head, the first question I'm asking is, what do we need to know for everyone to help us move forward? You know, my favorite question is, I ask the universe every day, what is it I need to know today to help me move forward and on my path for my highest good and for the highest good of those around me? Okay, staying in integrity. Okay, this is really important, and it really goes along with what we were talking about before, because we don't want to lose who we are. And it's very easy to sink into the anger or frustration of whatever the situation is. It's harder to stay in the light. It's harder when somebody says something negative to us to be like, I hear you, rather than be like, okay? So it takes more energy. But it's really important for us to stay in the integrity of who we are. And the integrity of who we are is that we are people of the light. We are part of a community of light. We have chosen to be here now. We have chosen to live our lives this way. We've chosen to be part of this community, which doesn't mean we turn our, this Facebook off and we go out and, start screaming at people, okay? So it is important that we are staying in that integrity so that we are continuing to shine. This card is Moon Shining, that we are continuing to shine, and you notice this is the full moon, that we are shining not only as a beacon of light for ourselves, but as a beacon of light for others, that we are creating this knowledge that we are a safe space for whoever may need to connect with our light, okay? And it's not just, whichever marginalized community, but that we are a safe space for people to come and talk with us. Now, when you are having the vibrating energy that you are a safe space, it's often the thing that happens is energy vampires can come, or other people, everyone wants to come and tell you their problems. So having energetic boundaries is going to be really important, okay? All right, let's see what else is coming up. What else do we need to know? This is the shadow work. So this is the night moon, and this reminds us that we need to look at what's going on inside of us. So shadow work is where we're looking at our, our wounds. We're looking at the places where we're still hurt. We're looking at the angers that we're holding inside of us. We're looking at inner child stuff, the stuff that, we're still holding on to because, when I was 4 years old, my mom did blah, blah, blah. Okay. And I'm still, okay. That's shadow work. Okay. So this is really important that we're looking at ourselves. We're taking a good look at ourselves to say, okay, Mercury retrograde, I see you coming. What else do I need to work on so I can let go of any anger and, frustration that there might be hanging around inside my noggin and inside my heart that is holding me back from being able to vibrate higher and to move myself to a higher level. Now I'll show you, in this card is very orange down here at the bottom, which is our sacral chakra, and a lot of yellow too, which is our solar plexus, and then you see up here is all the purple, okay, which is our higher mind. Okay, so what do we need to know? You're like, what have I buried so deep that I'm not looking at it, or that I have, forgotten to deal with, or what am I still holding on to that I've been holding on to for so long I don't even realize that I'm holding on to it. Okay. Oh, this is what I started to say before when I put in the comments the link for the business class. So the Build Your Business, How to Build Your Spiritual Business. Tomorrow night is class number 2. If you missed the first class last Tuesday, don't worry about it. There's recordings, everything's being recorded. But if you still had an interest in taking the class number 2 is tomorrow night. There are 3 sessions, so definitely come on along and be part of the fun. Hello from Australia. So, all right, so we have our third card. So we have, what do we need to know? Okay, what else do we need to be aware of? And what do we need to look out for? And so this is, what do we need to, where are the speed bumps that we need to look out for? And this is, the moon is in detriment, and it says cut your losses. And if you look at this card, it's very black. Okay, and it's very bumpy, and you've got the ram up in there, okay, because we're coming into Capricorn season. I think we're in Sagittarius right now. And so this is very black. And so what this is reminding us, so we have, what do we need to know? What else are we not seeing? And then, what else do we need to be aware of? And then the third card is where are the speed bumps? Okay, and cut your losses reminds us that it's okay to say boundaries, right? Which is what we started to talk about a minute ago. So this person had emailed me and said, I never want to have another email from you again. And I said, okay, I respect that. And I heard them out, and I replied very politely and, with light. And then again, the conversation went on. And at some point I was like, I'm done, because there was nothing productive being in there. I had listened, I had supported, we had gone back and forth, but you know, sometimes you get in a conversation where things start to circle, and I can't fix the problem, and they didn't ask me to fix the problem, and so I wished them well, and I walked away, because sometimes we need to cut our losses and to say, I have done enough in this situation, or I have done all I can do for me to be effective in this situation, and now we're in diminishing returns, and it's time to cut our losses and to be able to walk away. So we wish them well, we love them away, and we say, go God bless, okay? So this reminds us that, yes, so we go back to the Pirkei Avot, where we said before, we are not obligated to complete the task, but nor are we free to ignore it. And so this says there's a point where we've done what is capable for us to do that might be a meaningful place to contribute. And then after that point, we say, you know, that's as much as I can do in that situation, okay? And so it is totally okay to have those boundaries. In fact, I recommend it strongly that when we are trying to be the light for others, we do want to make sure we have those boundaries, because when we're being the light for others, it's often possible that we're going to be you know, the ones that everyone wants to tell their story to, and we don't want to absorb all those things. So having those boundaries and knowing when to say no, when to say I've had enough, and no is a complete sentence, for us to be able to say, nope, that's my boundary, cut my loss, walk away. You are not being a bad person when you do this. You are being a person who is respecting your own space and respecting the space of others. It is very, very important we put our masks on our own face first. Okay. Chris, thank you very much for doing that. Okay. Whew, lots of stuff today. All right, so let's do cards. All righty. So if you would like to have a card, now is the time to put it in the chat. So, oh, I'm so sorry, Brenda, you lost your sound as I say that. But if you've lost your sound, you probably wouldn't be able to hear me say it. All right. No. The mail is coming around. My dogs are going to lose their minds. So, all right, Belinda. We have Belinda and Ellen. Steve! How fun. All right. I hope you heard about last week's reading. The mailman is outside. So, okay. Okay, well, Brenda, it looks like you're back, so yay. So, okay. So the cards are first come, first serve. I always have time for you, Tracy. Please don't even worry. All right, so, where am I? I pulled card. Hold on. Hang on. I'm waiting for the mailman to try and go by. All right, Belinda. So, Belinda, we have the card that says, process your feelings. It says, howl at the moon, process your feelings. So, Belinda, this is where it becomes really important. Remember, see the black again. This is some of that shadow work that was just mentioned. So, this is about you really letting things out and not holding on to things that you may have been holding on to. But again, with that shadow work card we were just pulling, we were seeing that it's important for us to really look at stuff to go, am I still holding on to this? Because there may be some things that are held so deeply that we're not understanding if we, that we're still holding on to things. So, Ellen, this is about getting in touch with your true feelings, about getting in touch with your inner feelings. But you can see it's a black card. But at the same time, when you process your feelings and you're really, and so can you see that they're looking at each other? So we're taking a real hard look at ourselves, and then comes the reward of the flowers and the roses, okay? So, Belinda, this is about really taking stock of, yay! But, Belinda, this is about really taking stock of what you're still holding on to that you don't need to hold on to anymore, okay? So this is going to be an important time for you. All right, so Ellen Jane, so this is drawing down the moon. And this card's about knowledge. So this is all purple. This is all purple. This is all about the higher mind, the higher wisdom. And so, Ellen Jane, this card speaks to me in a way about you using your abilities and not denying your abilities. That you have the ability to do some of this work. You have this ability to help people. You have the ability to, where'd I go? that you have the ability to be more impactful in the world if you would be willing to step out from behind the shadow of the moon. Okay, so Ellen, this is really about using your wisdom, using your knowledge. You have much, but it's about being willing to share it with others by expressing yourself. And I want to use the word, because I'm being given this word, exposing yourself, and I don't feel like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, you're going to be exposed, but it is about exposing yourself by putting yourself out there a bit more than maybe you were comfortable with, or maybe where you thought you were, because you're putting yourself out there to be able to be of service to others. And so this is about sharing your knowledge, but it is also about acknowledging the abilities and the knowledge and things that you have stored up in there, that it's important to open your mouth and to share your wisdom with others, okay? And it is a little bit about putting yourself out there and exposing yourself, because you have now, subject yourself to people who may, think positively or negatively. But remember, you stay in your lane, and what they think about us is not our problem, okay? We do the best that we can do to show up in the world. And so this card, Ellen, is talking about it's time for you to show up a little bit more, okay? To share the knowledge. Okay. Also, I just want to say one more thing, because they're just giving it to me in my head, because there's so much purple in this card. Because if you look at it, you're standing on the purple. Yes, there's black down here, but you're standing on the purple, which means you're standing on wisdom, and you're being lifted by wisdom, which means you're being lifted by the higher vibrations. Okay. All right. So Steve, Belinda, you are so welcome, my friend. Yes, I'm going to jump over to Instagram in a minute. So Steve, my new friend, Steve. I have to tell you, I hope that you spoke with your partner about last week's card reading, because I'm still laughing about it. All right, for Steve, we have the Yang Moon, and this is strength. So much purple and a lot of orange, and interesting, some yellow at the top. So interesting, because if you look at this card, so this is about your inner strength, but it's also about your strength to stand in the gap, because you see you're sitting in the gap. But also, this is a doorway. So you're sitting in the doorway, you're taking your wisdom and your knowledge, and you're taking your sacral chakra, and see the yellow, you're taking your solar plexus. So the sacral chakra is part of the lower chakras, just by geography, not vibration or anything like that. But the sacral chakra is about sacral is those relationships, the fluids in the body, the love relationships, the how we connect to other people. And the solar plexus is about how we see ourselves, how we visualize ourselves. And I just think it's really, really interesting that here's this moon rising behind the person sitting here, and it's all blue, but this is a doorway that you're sitting in, and you're looking as if you're sitting with the doorway is behind you, and you're looking forward to the next thing. So I do think that this is continues to play on what was talked about before and in the card last week, but it is talking about strength. This card is about strength. This card is about, again, you're sitting on the knowledge, and it's important that you're sharing it with others. And this is about lifting yourself up, but it's also about lifting others up with you. So it feels like that there is feels like there's some hiccups that are coming, but again, I want to use the word hiccup and not, boulders, and just to allow them to unfold, because what this card is showing is that you have more strength in the position, like you've got the higher ground, okay? So when people are coming at you and there's speed bumps and little hiccups and things, to be like, I got this. I have the higher ground. I can use the inner strength and not have to get flustered about things, especially as it comes to Mercury retrograde. So, okay, so this is the card for Steve. So this is a positive card for sure, but this is talking about using your intuition to share your wisdom and your gifts with other people, but also your back is to this doorway that you are looking out on the new, I love this, okay, now I hear this, you're looking out from the doorway, you are looking out on the new adventure, the new journey. So new journeys for you as well. Okay, so Tracy. All right, we're going to do Tracy, and then I'm going to go over to Instagram, and then I'm going to come back to Chris. And Chris, thanks for sharing some comments with some of the folks today. I appreciate that very, very much. All right, Tracy. Okay, Tracy. Enchanted, moonlight enchanted. Now you also have an archway here, and you have, but you are surrounded. You have this is opportunities. So we have new moons and ending moons. So we have the new crescent, and we have the end crescent, and we have the full moon in the beginning, in the middle that is charged up and ringed with gold. And you see the ripples on the water. This is smooth water. These are not turbulent waves. But this is about new journeys, new adventures, that there's something that is lighting the way for you to help move you in a new direction. So, Tracy, I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like it's a job change, but it does feel like there's some new adventure that's coming your way, that there's definitely a shift that's coming. Yeah, there's something like, okay, I got it. Tracy's my friend. I can ask this question. It feels like there's a new relationship or a new relationship that may be coming your way. So just keep your eyes open for that. So, all right. So where are we? Awesome. Oh, Steve understands perfectly. Yay! Fantastic. All right. I am excited. Okay. So let me go back to you. You did. Okay. Talk with your partner. That's excellent. I don't mention names without permission, of course. All right. So we're going to go. So Chris will be next, but we're going to jump over to hi Ruth. We're going to jump over to Instagram, and we're going to take care of those couple people over there. So Brenda has asked for a card on Instagram. And this card for Brenda is talk to the moon, communicate. And I love this because, again, here you have all this red, yellow, and orange. Okay, so you literally have all the chakra colors that are here. So this, you are sitting here and you're looking up at the moon and you're saying, I know, I trust, and I'm grounded in my core, safety places with, housing and, food and shelter and things like that. And then I have, how am I looking at myself and how am I interacting with the world? But it feels like there's this place of maybe how we're reacting or interacting with the people who are closest to us in the sacral chakra. But we're asking the moon for guidance, for that blue is our voice, and then coming up into the purple with our higher mind. Okay, so Brenda, it's showing every single color, and none of the other cards had every single color, but this is talking about communicating. This is talking about saying what you want, saying what you feel, but that you have everything that you need is right here. And this is also showing up as a new moon. Okay, so this is a new moon for you that says this, there's so much potential in front of you if you can open up and share the voice, that you are safe with all of these things. Are such brilliant and bright colors, that you are safe in the core chakras, the base chakras, or the lower ones, that it's okay for you to come up and say what you want, and it's okay for you to embark on new conversations. Okay, so we have that for Brenda. Okay, we're gonna have Fatima, and then we're gonna come back over for Chris. Awesome. Hello. Okay, so we have for Fatima, and then we're going to come. You are welcome, Brenda. I'm so glad. Okay, so Brenda says, right on point. Okay, so for Fatima, it says moon goddess, higher power. And so again, we have all of this yellow and orange that's coming in. That is about, how we're showing up in the world and getting to know ourselves. And so this is looking up at the full moon and really seeing who we are. And so Fatima, this really feels like it may go back to that one, that second card that we talked about from the collective card reading, of the looking at our inner self, looking at the shadow work, and really making sure that we are knowing ourselves and that we are being true to ourselves. So this card tells me it's really important to be true to yourself. Now you also have the two crescent moons with the full moon in the middle, so some new opportunity is there, but you're not in the brace of it, as if you, where Tracy had the little bracket over it, as if you have not captured it yet. So there's a new opportunity that's there, but it's as if you are not quite ready for it. And you can see she's looking up there, shielding her eyes, looking up at the moon to say, I see this, I'm not quite sure how to capture it. And so it really is important that you're getting to know yourself and that you're being true to yourself, and then you're going to be able to capture that new opportunity that's coming your way. Okay? All right, so blessings for that. We're going to come back over here for... nope, I see all the comments. I see all the people. Kimmy didn't get skipped. You're coming up. So hang in there. We've got Chris and then Kimmy. You're right after that. So here's I've got Chris, Judd, Kimmy, Linda, and then we've got Ellen says she feels wines now. That's awesome. And then we've got Linda. So all right. So we've got Chris. We're working our way through. So patience, patience, patience. So all right. So Chris says she's concerned about finances, more clients, and a steady income. So this card is releasing. And this is, what does that say? Moonset. Okay. So interesting because this card is the full moon, but it is holding, you are holding up the moon. And so this card is, and you see the person is way down there, this little tiny person down there. And this is, these are no chakra colors, right? So we've got browns and blacks and things. But so what this card is talking about is that you're trying to maybe do too much, that maybe you are looking for, you know, I talk to people who are waking up in their spirituality, that they want to learn things, they want to study different things. It was, Fatima, it really was. So they're looking at things and they're trying to study and do and learn and things like an octopus. And rather than choosing one thing to study and one thing to learn and then they can move on to the next thing. And that's not an unusual thing, but what this is talking to me about is that you're perhaps trying to do too many different things, trying to do too much, and that perhaps it's trying to get you to hone in on, this is what I do, this is what I'm offering. But this card is releasing, is letting go of the things that you don't need to be doing, you don't need to be holding on to, that are not serving the higher purpose, the things that are not perhaps bringing in the money, or that are not bringing in the joy, they're not bringing in whatever satisfaction it is that you need from them, whether that's physical, tangible or not, that to let go of the things that are not in alignment, that are not serving the purpose. Now, there's things as far as a professional offering, if there's things that you want to bring back in later, you certainly could. So for example, for me, you know, I started psychic medium and card reader, and then I added in hypnotherapy and grief work later. So we can always add things back in later, but it feels like right now is time to let go of some things. Just put them to the side right now so you can really be focused on what it is that you need to be doing that is going to be profitable and supportive of you. Okay, that feels like where that card is going. Okay, Kimmy Smith and then Linda Rose. So Kimmy, this card is Moon Maybe Intuition. So Kimmy, this is about trusting yourself. Okay, this is about trusting the moon. It's about trusting yourself. And so you have here the crescent moon with new opportunities, but you also have this full moon that is really, gyrating and radiating all these, lights and little, struts coming out of it. That is talking about when we have the full moon, we're releasing things, right? And when we are releasing things so that we're able to be ready for the new moon. And so this card is talking about using your intuition, Kimmy, to really trust yourself. And there's so much black that's in this card that is reminding us that maybe you're not trusting yourself, maybe you're not trusting your intuition. And so this is really just this reminder that you have all of this support that's around you. And you see these horses, these are flying horses. I don't know if you can see them, but they're like Pegasuses on the sides. And they're like, hey, we are ready to take off and go with you, but you've got to trust us to carry you. That reminding you that you have higher guidance that's with you, and you have spirit guides and things like that that are going to help you move forward, Kimmy. But it's important that you are trusting them, that you are trusting your intuition, you're trusting spirit. Okay, so you've got this. You've got this. Okay, Linda Rose. Okay. Bye, sweetheart. Mwah. All right, Linda. All right, so Linda, we have new moon, blessings, beginnings. So Linda, look at all these little squiggly lines of opportunity that's going on for you. So there's so much that you are sending out into the to the universe, and you are, look at these tigers. You are so guarded and protected by these tigers. That is really important that you know that you have so much strength inside of you, and that you are radiating out blessings to so many other people around you, Linda, that it's important that you are making sure that you are guarding your own energy. And the guard is not the right word. Thank you, you would correct me for that. That you are being aware of your own energy, so that you're doing the things and you're radiating out in a way that is going to lift you and support you, and that you're not depleting yourself. But this does not feel like depletion. This just feels like love and celebration of you being able to move forward with the protection of the tigers, and being fierce, of being able to move forward and speak your mind and share your love with people. That this is definitely a card that says you are on the right track, Linda Rose. Okay, so love that for you. All right, so we have Belinda says thank you. Steven says he heard about the cards from last week. That's awesome. Ellen says she feels wise now. That is so great. We just did Linda Rose. Okay, sneaking in there twice. And Stephen says, thank you, Chris. And Stephen says they definitely understands. That's awesome. I love that. And Ruth, hello, hello. Tracy, you are so welcome, my friend. Hello, Jesse. And a card for Ruth. Yes, let me catch up on here. Hello, Jesse. And Kimmy, we just did. And Lynn and Chris, thank you so much for explaining. And Kimmy, you're so welcome. And Chris, I hear you. And awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so let me go back where I was. Let me make sure I didn't skip anybody. So we're going to have Ruth, and then we're going to have Lynn. Okay, Jesse, did you want a card? You got to put a comment in that just says, may I have a card, please? Okay. All right, that just gives me permission to come into your energy. And a big thank yous to Chris for helping give some knowledge comments and stuff as we're working today. So Ruth. So this card for Ruth is Embrace Uncertainty. This is Moonlit. This is Embrace Uncertainty. And so this is just showing you can see how this is up on this pedestal. And you've got this, view through the mountains. You've got this path. You've got calm water. And you've got this beautiful glow of the moon. Okay, so everything is in order. Okay, so Ruth, this is so much about just trusting the universe, trusting that things are working out. And you can see that the moon is nestled in with the sun, and everything is also, notice, in alignment. Everything is completely in alignment, so everything is going to be okay. And this is reminding you, Ruth, that it's really important for you to just trust the process and trust the universe and allow things to unfold. Okay, all right, so where am I? Lynn. And then I think, yeah, okay. So Lynn, transformation. This is moon magic. This is transformation. Now check this out, because this is a power card, girl. This is a power card. She is sitting on that chair. She has got her feet planted, and she's got her arms stretched out. This is a power card, Lynn. So this is like, again, you have these crescent moons, but you've got these flares of fire and strength that are in there, and you've got the full moon, and this one, the full moon is right up in there, so we know that things are moving quickly right now, Lynn, and it's really important that you understand that you are stronger than you think, and that this is a time of growth and change for you, and that you are going to you've got the tools to handle this, okay? So whatever it is that's coming at you, you've got the tools to handle it. That there is going to be some challenge, but that you're going to be able to own it, okay? It's really important, because as you're looking at this, you're going to look at these challenges, you're going to say, nope, I've got this. I've got this. It's really important for you to be able to not be intimidated and not be pushed around, because this person, this woman in the chair is like, no, it's all me. I'm got it. Okay, so you have that. All right, so we're gonna pull one last card. Oh, thanks, baby. We're gonna pull one last card to wrap it up for everyone. And oh, I love this card. I love this. So this is, look at this beautiful full moon. This is cleansing, and look at this beautiful rainbow triangle. Everything in alignment. Everything pointing to the full moon. Everything is cleansing. Everything is cleaning. We are releasing. We are letting go of things that don't serve us. We are looking ourselves square in the face and saying, who am I? What am I holding on to that I need to release? And we're saying that we understand that everything that's going on right now is helping to clean and weed and, pull everything out, so that we are, cleaning the house, so that we can be able to move forward. Louise Hay used to have this saying that she would say, you can't clean the dirt unless you're willing to look at it. Okay, and so we can't deal with the stuff that we need to get out if we're not willing to look at it and acknowledge it. And so the cleansing card says, hey, we're acknowledging it's time for us to do this work of like looking at ourselves in the mirror and taking a good look at who we are and where we are and what we're still holding on to that might no longer serve us, that we've maybe forgotten we're still holding on to, but brings up those little prickles when we least expect it, and to be able to say all of these things are helping us to move forward, because we are in this time of cleansing and cleaning, and the universe is helping us to move forward. So I will leave you with that, and as always, I know things are going on. I know there's a lot of energy that's shifting around. We're going to be in this for a while. And so remember that you're not in it alone. And if you need help or support or anything like that, please make sure you reach out to myself or somebody else. And in all things, always remember how very much you are loved. Mwah! We'll see you next week.